After 7 long years of silence, a quiet but powerful shift is now underway. India is set to receive its first shipment of oil from Iran, something that hasn't happened since 2019. Now, back then, India had stopped buying Iranian crude under heavy pressure from the United States, which had imposed strict sanctions on Tehran. For years, that particular door it remained shut. But now, in the middle of the rising global tension and a deepening energy crisis, that door has suddenly opened again, even if just slightly though. And you know what? At the center of all of this development is a massive tanker named Jaya, basically a very large crude carrier that is now heading towards India's eastern coast. Ladies and gentlemen, what makes this journey even more dramatic is the ship's sudden change in direction. Now, initially, tracking data, it showed it moving towards Southeast Asia, possibly to offload oil in China. But in a surprising twist, the vessel rerouted mid-journey and it is now bound for India. And wait, that's not alone here. Another tanker, Jordan, it is also signaling India as its destination. These moments, they are not really random. They point to a very carefully calculated decision unfolding behind the scenes. Now, the buyer of this oil is Indian Oil Corporation, the country's largest refinery. While the company has not really publicly commented yet, but the implications that are clear. India, which is the world's third largest oil importer, is facing growing pressure to secure stable and affordable energy supplies. Well, the timing, it could not be more important. The ongoing Iran-Israel and the U.S. conflict has begun to disrupt the global oil flow, creating uncertainty across key shipping routes. In fact, one of the biggest concerns, it is the Strait of Hormuz, basically a narrow but very important passage through which a significant portion of global oil passes every single day. Now, with rising military activity and threats in that region, well, maybe after 2 weeks, even a small disruption can send shockwaves across global market. Oil prices, they can become volatile. Shipments can get delayed and countries like India that heavily depends on the imports, they can be forced to act quickly. And this is where the role of the United States, it becomes crucial. In a significant but temporary move, Washington has eased some sanctions on Iranian oil now. Well, the goal, it is not at all political, it is practical. The world is facing supply shortage and stabilizing market has become a priority. Now, this limited relaxation has created a narrow window of opportunity and India has stepped in at that exact right moment. Now, for India, this is not just about buying oil, it's about balancing diplomacy with national interest. So here we have, on one hand, it maintains very strong ties with the U.S. And on the other hand, it cannot ignore the economic realities at home. Fuel demand is rising, global supplies are uncertain, and affordable options are shrinking. Iranian oil, often available at very competitive prices, becomes an attractive option in such a case. So, ladies and gentlemen, the bigger picture, however, goes far beyond a single shipment here. This move signals how global alliances and strategies are quietly evolving in response to the crisis. It shows how quickly long-standing restrictions can be adjusted when the world faces pressure, and it highlights how countries like India are navigating these changes not loudly but very strategically. The question now is this just a temporary adjustment driven by war and shortage, or is it the beginning of a bigger shift in global oil dynamics? Because when energy routes change, power equation follow, and right now all eyes are on India's next move.